What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Well, Arkansas taking care of business, 70-0 over UAPB, an impressive performance against an unimpressive opponent. We're going to look at that a little bit, but we're really going to focus on what's next. Oklahoma State, the game you've all been waiting for. Danny West is going to hop on with us as well to talk a little recruiting. All that and more on today's episode of Hawg Sports Live. You guys all know there's plenty of ways to watch and listen. And thanks for all the reviews on Apple Podcasts. Really appreciate that. It was fantastic. Just a surge of reviews. Really appreciate it. We're on Facebook. We got to go on Instagram. I always forget to add Instagram. I don't understand why Instagram's different. I mean, like, it's Facebook technically, right? Go live. Boom. All right. We're on Instagram now too. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, of course, where we prefer everybody watch on YouTube. So, hey, before we get started, though, I want to mention this because this is our big sale of the year. It's the best one we do. It's 75% off. Okay. And I always say this, like, if you like what we do at Hawg Sports, you like this show, you like the walk and talk, you like the free content we put out, you like what Danny does, Connor, all the guys there, sign up for the website, like, support what we do. Like, I'm not able to do this without the support from the website. And honestly, guys, it's the best thing that we have going. Our message board, the content that we produce, the breaking news, the insider information. I mean, it breaks down to $26.85 for the entire year right now. So if you've ever considered, like, what does this talk about Hawg Sports, and can I get something there that I'm not getting elsewhere? That's how we get you in. We do this 75% off deal. We get you in the door and you're like, okay, didn't realize it was like this. And that's what everybody says. That's why we're one of the largest sites in the entire country on the 24/7 Sports Network, and something that we take a lot of pride in. So go to HawgSports, HawgSports.com. You'll see the banner ad there. It'll be on the page. Click on it. There's no promo code or anything like that. And if you're a new subscriber, you're going to get this. You're going to get the deal. I mean, guys, it's 7 cents a day. Like, if you can tell me something that you're getting for 7 cents a day that you can access all day long, that you get a lot of enjoyment out of, I'd love to hear about it. 52 cents a week, $224 a month. And again, billed at just $26.85 for the entire year. Last I checked, we were third in the country on this particular promo. Third in the country behind Auburn and North Carolina, I think, was having a good one. So we want to be number one. This deal ends Tuesday at 11 p.m. Central Time. So sign up if you haven't done so already. Been a lot of support for it. Really appreciate it. I know you guys answer the call when I've asked for just about anything. So I'm asking again. It's the best thing we do. All right, enough of that. I know you're here for the show. So where to start? Epic sale covered, UAPB covered, 70-0. Bet Saracen had this at about 50 points, depending on when you got it. It was 54.5 points all the way down to 48.5 points. And Arkansas obviously covered. Most people, when we polled them, I think 71% said Arkansas would not cover that spread. So, you know, one of the interesting things I think people say is that's how you should take care of a team like UAPB. No, it's not really. Like, maybe on a video game, that's how you would do it. But in real life, if that's how you should take care of a team, Arkansas has never taken care of a team the way they should. Because 70-0 is, I don't care what the opponent is, and it's not necessarily an indicator of how they'll do in SEC play and stuff. Again, we know the opponent. But the fact that they were that crisp with their first, second, and third team to go 10 straight drives, 9 straight third down conversions is really remarkable if you think about it. Especially with the second and third groups. I mean, you just don't expect something like that. But they beat the record, which was 6 straight drives. They beat the record with 7 straight drives with their first group before the reserves and backups went in. So, no, that's not how you dispatch a team like that. And that's what I said on the walk and talk. It's ridiculous. Like, you didn't have any turnovers. I don't believe there were any procedure penalties. Maybe one. I don't think there were any. But you didn't have any turnovers. You didn't have any selfish penalties. You got your backup quarterback. What do you have? 8 passes. What was he? What was Malachi? 8 of 10. 8 of 10 passes. I mean, that to me showed, like, if Malachi Singleton, if you give him some protection, you know, he's going to deliver the football. And then KJ Jackson comes in and goes 4-4. When do you get an opportunity to get your third team quarterback? Like, we talk about that kind of stuff. Yeah, they just, get the backups in, get them some action, and, it never happens like you think or you want. Maybe they get one series at the very end of the game or something like that. But to get your backup quarterback 10 passes and get your third team quarterback 4 passes. Guys, I'll say this too. I'm not overreacting because I've watched these guys since the spring, and I've watched Malachi Singleton since the last spring. But I've watched KJ Jackson since the spring. My thoughts on KJ was just like, this guy looks like he's been in the system for a year. He's got a lot of maturity about him, a lot of poise. I think the starting quarterback at Arkansas after Taylor Green is on campus right now. Maybe if you'd asked me a year ago, I'd say, yeah, the next guy would be, another transfer. But I think the starting quarterback is on campus right now. I'm not overreacting just from the UAPB game. I know that quarterbacks behave a lot differently when, you're getting punched in the face, when the pressure's there. I really enjoyed, by the way, watching. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I enjoyed watching football all week, man. If we could start off on a Thursday, hell yeah, and get Labor Day, which is today. I know a lot of y'all are off. For media people, Labor Day is not an off day. For football players and coaches, it's not an off day. It never has been. But I know a lot of people are off right now. There's not a lot of radio stuff going on, so I'm probably getting a lot of extra views. But it was fun, man, to watch. And I didn't watch Friday night games. I hung out with the family and stuff. But Thursday or after Thursday, but Saturday, all day Saturday, I watched football. And then yesterday I watched football, USC and LSU. And you can see like Garrett Nussmeier can sling the ball, but like when he's got some pressure in his face, everything changes. And that's what's coming. You're going to have Taylor Green get pressured, and we're going to see how he reacts to it. And that changes everything. Yeah, you look good just sitting there in the pocket throwing. Look how mature, goes through all his progressions. Yeah, you got 5 seconds to throw the ball or more. So it changes when that happens. The whole dynamic, the timing, everything, your mental state, all that's going to change when you get a little bit of pressure, and you're going to see pressure from Oklahoma State. So, but man, looking around the country at all the games, Vanderbilt, hell yeah. Vanderbilt won 34-27 and in overtime against Virginia Tech. So, fantastic. Georgia just outclassed Clemson. They were outclassed. I watched a good bit of that game. I was able to watch on ESPN Plus. I was able to watch the Oklahoma State, South Dakota State game. I was able to watch the Georgia Clemson game, and I could just go back and forth because it would just, it would pause on both of those. And so I would go back and pick up when I've, caught up to real time. I'd go to the other game back and forth. That's how I always like to watch football. I've done that for years now. But got to watch two. I kind of trailed off that Georgia game after a while, after it got a little out of hand. I did not watch Tennessee beat Chattanooga 69-3. I did watch Florida, or a decent amount of the Florida-Miami game until it got out of hand. Billy Napier's on borrowed time. You can't just keep having negative records getting set, like the most points given up in a home opener ever. Like that kind of stuff is piling up for him. Borrowed time. It's a matter of time. I would be stunned if Florida just turns this thing around, especially with what they've got to compete with on their schedule this year. I didn't watch Texas beat Colorado State 52-0. I watched a little bit of South Carolina and Old Dominion. They don't look good. They don't have a lot of protection. Rocket had like 88 yards on maybe 22 carries or something like that. But Shane Beamer looked to me post-game like a little guy that was, like he was a little confused and worried. That's how he looked. They had to come back to win that game. They were down. I did not watch all of that game, but I watched a little bit of it. Did not watch Mississippi State, but 56-7 over – what is that, Eastern Kentucky, EKU? I don't even know who they played. Alabama, didn't watch them beat Western Kentucky 63-0. I did not watch Ole Miss 76-0 over Furman, but I heard that Jackson Dart, all he had to do was just throw it up, and his guys were running under it. I did watch all of Texas A&M Notre Dame. I'm not blown away with what I saw out of Texas A&M's offense. I know Notre Dame's got a really good defense. I know Texas A&M's got a good defense, but I wasn't like, wow, Connor Weigman. I'm not even sure it really matters that much. Auburn, Alabama A&M, did not watch that. That was 73-3 Auburn. There's some just ass beatings out of this conference. Kentucky, 31-0 over Southern Miss. I didn't watch Oklahoma, but they won in a rout. What did Oklahoma finish on Friday? They beat Temple 51-3. And then Missouri on Thursday beat Murray State 51-0. So, yeah, I didn't watch the Texas game. Or no, yeah, I didn't watch Texas. Okay. So, anyway, some ass kickings. Sorry. That's just what it was. This week, Bet Saracen has Arkansas at plus 7.5 against Oklahoma State. I feel like that line was maybe 9 earlier. Um, and I want to know, like in the comments, does your prediction change a little bit with the UAPB game? Again, like, yeah, they should have whipped them, and they did. But 70-0 and perfect scoring each time, and perfect on third downs. That there's a certain, I don't know, that elevates them to me a little bit. And again, I know the opponent, but just from like taking the opponent out and looking at what Arkansas was able to do in terms of all the formations, the timing and stuff when they did have time. I don't know. It's encouraging. It's hard to glean anything from defense. Like I didn't even in my breakdown, I barely mentioned defense. It was mostly just kind of, well, they lined up with 3 safeties. I didn't see that in camp, or what I thought about the linebacker rotation or how they did different things like that. It wasn't like, wow, they really tackled well or something like that. I mean, Pittman talked about that too, and we're going to get. I've cut up Pittman into just a few small pieces. It's like 3 minutes and 27 seconds a clip, and I'll show that in a minute. Just to some of the questions that I asked him in the press conference and his responses, and some of the other notable responses. Also, injury news: Connor Goodson has the latest injury report. So it's important to know this. So the SEC is going to start releasing injury reports. Those will be on Wednesdays. They're not doing that yet. Okay, they're not doing that for these non-conference games. When they start getting into SEC games, then you'll see injury reports. So none of the stuff that Pittman said about somebody doubtful, or that's not an official report. It's only for SEC games, not these out-of-conference games. Okay, but what he said was, it doesn't matter that he said Patrick Kutas is doubtful, but Patrick Kutas, when that game week and when the important thing comes out, he's going to be. It would say he's out. Okay, I don't see any way that Patrick Kutas is available for this game, given how long he has missed and all that stuff. So, and plus the way that they feel about Marion Harris right now. So, I don't think that we're going to see Patrick Kutas. I think pretty confidently we're going to see Andrew Armstrong, who was stated as questionable. Armstrong has a hamstring. If Arkansas had played Oklahoma State in week 1, I think Armstrong would have played. Okay. And that's just kind of based on some of the rumblings that I hear. But they didn't. They played UAPB, so he sat out. He traveled. I know he has a hamstring. I was at practice. I saw it happen. It's been some time ago. He's going to play against Oklahoma State. I feel pretty confident in saying that. They're not going to say he's playing. They don't have to say he's playing or not playing because it's not that week yet. So don't read too much into questionable and all that kind of stuff. Not yet. So Arkansas has a big challenge in front of them. I mean, Ollie Gordon, I talked to him about that. So let's go ahead and get to the Sam Pittman video. All right, here it goes. You had Patrick Kutas listed first team or with a Marion Harris.
Yeah.
How's that situation playing out?
I don't believe Patrick will play, but I'll say this too, and we'll miss him because he's a good player and back still bothering him. But Marion Harris has had an outstanding camp, and I don't know that there'll be any drop off there. I think he's not 5, Trey. If you were going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
That's an old video. That is an old video. All right, so I'm going to try to upload this real quick, see if I can do it. Yeah, that's the video from last week. I need this one. Too large. All right, well, I'm going to try to save it. I put too much work into that. Dadgummit. I'm going to try to save it in a smaller file size. So I guess we can hop ahead real quick. Let me get this going real quick. I want to save this because he did say some interesting stuff. We're going to save it in worse quality here. Medium. Faster. Let's just do low to stay All right. So that's why it didn't save, because I just had it the quality too big. All right. All right. We'll see if we can get back to that. Sorry about that. I guess I should have double checked. I'm a notorious double checker. So just looking ahead real quick to Oklahoma State. Obviously, Ollie Gordon is the guy that stands out. I wrote an advanced look after watching the game, and took some notes during the game and stuff. And what I see with Ollie Gordon is a guy that is reliable and consistent, just like Ozarks Go. Ozarks Go internet is my favorite internet service that I've ever had. They are reliable. I never have glitches. I never have outages or anything like that. They're a local company. So if you're interested in them, if you think that they might be available in your area, go check out ozarksgo.net/hog, and you can find out. Think like north of the tunnel. Think parts of Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas, expanding in Rogers and other parts. You can reach them at 479-684-4900, or go to ozarksgo.net/hog and use the promo code BIDDY1, BIDDY1, and new customers can get 1 month free. Local company. They offer several different tiers. I've used their gigabit, which is 1,000 megabits per second. It just hums. Right now, I'm on their multi-gig, which is even faster. So they offer a lot of different stuff, a lot of different plans. It's a local company. When you call them, you will reach a person from around this area. They're not going to ship you off to some call center in some other country or something like that. So they'll know what you're talking about when you say where you live and all that kind of stuff. So 479-684-4900. Nailed the segue once again. Fast, reliable internet, just like Ollie Gordon. Okay. All right. Did we save that? Did I do that long enough? Come on. No, it's too big. The maximum length. It's not 10 minutes. That is not 10 minutes long. Not 10 minutes long. It should let me do it. All right. Well, maybe I'll try at the end of the show, I guess. So I'd cut that up nice and neat for everybody. So the depth chart is out. Let's see. Andrew Armstrong has an asterisk by his name. He's going to start and play. I would be very surprised if he doesn't. They still have an oar between Patrick Kudus and Amarian Harris. I don't know why, but they do. Rodney Hill is the second team running back. I'm a little bit surprised to see that. I mean, Rashad Dubinion is fourth on that depth chart. Dubinion is a guy that has been all hog. Like, he's not entering the transfer portal. He's all Razorback, but he came in late, and he has been dealing with a little bit of a knee injury, and that's possible. One of the reasons he set back. But man, I really like Braylon Russell, really like Jaquindon Jackson, what we saw out of him. Jackson reminds me in some ways of he reminds me a little bit of Jonathan Williams in terms of the slipperiness, but Jonathan was a little more upright. So he also reminds me a little bit of like how Cedric Cobbs was later in his career, when Cobbs was, much more low to the ground, just kind of staying behind his shoulder pads. Really like what I've seen out of Jaquindon Jackson. I was just going like, before he had that 14-yard run, I was just like, get this dude out of the game. Like, they need him healthy all year. He's going to be a workhorse, steady, consistent type of back. And I guarantee you, knowing Jaquindon Jackson, what little I know of him now, he didn't like all the attention that Ollie Gordon's getting as the back everybody's talking about in this game. I guarantee you that rubs him the wrong way, that he feels disrespected by it. I promise you. So it'll be interesting to watch what he's able to produce on Saturday, because I just know this guy wears a chip on his shoulder. Any other notable depth chart changes? I don't see anything too. They still got the oar between Nico and Anton Junkaj at the left end spot. Yeah. Well, we got to mention that Eli Stein quit the team because just as we kind of suspected, he didn't win the job for, what was it, punter? snap and punt, long snapper. I think it was just maybe the short snapper, but he wanted to do both, is what Sam Pittman said. So he didn't like it and he left, I guess. Did a good job while he was here, but that's disappointing. Okay, so my thoughts on Oklahoma State from watching the game on Saturday. First, I'll say South Dakota State is a very good FCS program. Like, they won the national championship last year. They won it year before. Last year, they were 15-0 in the FCS. Now, they wouldn't have beaten UAPB the way Arkansas did, but it would have been a bloodbath. They would have slaughtered UAPB. Okay, so different level of talent. It's a very sound team. They don't have the Power 4 type of athletes. It's just very sound, well-coached, disciplined program that's used to having success. And Oklahoma State beat them, 44-20? I mean, they handled them pretty good. So Ollie Gordon, 104 carries for 27 yards, had a pair of touchdowns, had 42 yards on 4 catches with another touchdown. So he had 31 touches. This is a guy that Mike Gundy said at the beginning of the game they wanted to get 20 touches. And so they had to get him the ball a little bit more than probably what they planned on. He didn't break any long runs. His longest run was 12 yards, but he had at least 3 runs last year that were over 60 yards. So he can house it on you. He reminds me, and I'm not saying like he's not as like tall or long as Eddie George. Not quite. Like, he's still, 6'2", 225. Eddie George was like 6'3", 235 probably, but just kind of longer limbed. But that's how he runs. He runs very hard. He is a tough tackle. He's the kind of guy that, like, he doesn't do a whole lot and people still bounce off of him. And that to me is, like, right up there with speed, the number one attribute for a running back. Like, do people bounce off you? Do you break tackles without doing stuff? And that's what Ollie Gordon does. So like that in him a lot, like that quality. He's also got a really nice jump cut and stiff arm. He'll kind of combo those a little bit. He reminds me a little bit of maybe like Deuce McAllister is another guy that kind of similar style, running style, not quite as like maybe quite as heavy as those guys were, but maybe Eddie George is my closest comparison to him. They'll take a lot of shots downfield. I talked to Sam Pittman and I asked him questions about that. You're going to see, hey, Danny, if you're listening, I'm a little bit behind you, but I'll get to you in just a second. But you're going to see them take a lot of shots downfield. Like, they will run the ball with him, and they have done this ever since I can remember Brandon Whedon, the last old quarterback, because Alan Bowman's 7th-year senior. Brandon Whedon was like 28 years old, 29 or so. But they will throw that deep fade high in the air, and you'll be like, whoa, what is that? And it'll be right under the wide receiver. You'll be in man coverage. You'll be trying to stop the run. You'll be coming up trying to stop Ollie Gordon, and they'll hit you with that. And it's going to happen. They'll probably complete at least one of those, and they'll probably throw one every quarter. So expect to see that. They will throw deep on you like that. They got other guys. So they hit one to Rashad Owens. I think it was like 52 yards. But they've got, Brennan Presley, who's smaller, like 5'8", shifty guy. Dejon Stribling had 83 catches on 6 yards. He led the team. I did not see Tyler Foster, the tight end, produce a whole lot. Maybe he didn't play. I don't know. But he's supposed to be another guy to watch. I was reading the Oklahoman, and they were like, saying these are the guys to watch maybe for NFL draft pick. Nick Martin was a guy they talked about a lot on the broadcast. Similar in size to Anthony Switzer, about 6 foot 220, might be just a little bit taller than Switzer, but very productive, like 140 tackles, 6 sacks type of active. He had 10 tackles and a sack on Saturday. Colin Clay, I was looking for him. I remember I always thought Colin Clay was a good-looking defensive tackle when he arrived at Arkansas back in 2019, same class as Eric Gregory, and he's a 6-year super senior guy at Oklahoma State now. Kendall Daniels, Colin Oliver. Let's see, Colin Oliver is on the edge. Corey Black at cornerback was another guy to watch, and Kendall Daniels at linebacker are guys that, according to the Oklahoman, are guys to watch. But I really like what I saw out of Nick Martin as well. kind of middle of the pack in the Big 12 last year, 29.6 points per game, 431.8 yards per game. That's middle of the pack. Even with Ollie Gordon leading them with 1,732 yards, which led the country. Oklahoma State was ninth out of 14 Big 12 teams last year with 155.3 yards per game. So most of the yardage they get on the ground is yardage produced by him. Fourth in the conference in passing offense, 276.5. They allowed 28.6 points per game, which was 10th in the Big 12. 441.8 yards per game, 14th. That was dead last. 275 passing yards per game allowed, 14th, dead last, and 166.8 rushing yards per game, 9th. This could be a shootout. It could be a lot of points on the board in this one, depending on how Arkansas's defense plays. But Oklahoma State's used to putting up a decent amount of points and giving up a lot. So 11 a.m., Boone-Pickens Stadium, Stillwater, Oklahoma, ABC. A lot of people disappointed with that 11 o'clock kickoff, but you have to remember it's not an 11 o'clock kickoff on Jefferson Pilot or, SEC Network now. Not that SEC Network's Jefferson Pilot is not what I mean, but it used to be the 11 o'clock game. This is on ABC. So the unfortunate thing about this game is, yes, there'll be an opportunity for a lot of eyeballs. Texas and Michigan is also at 11 o'clock. So it's the number 2 game at 11 o'clock, I would think. All right, we got to get to Danny now. I am 8 minutes behind where I wanted to be with him. All right, so where's my stuff? There we are. Danny West. You got to follow Danny, guys. I mean, why would you – if you're a diehard Razorback fan, if you care about the health and the future of the program, then you got to follow Danny West. Got all the news when it comes to Razorback recruiting and does a fantastic job and has for a number of years. Follow Danny at Danny West 247 on Twitter. Danny, how's it going?
What's going on, brother?
Not much. We're just breaking down things. I'm messing up videos that I was planning on running, but
saw that.
Yeah,
that hurt, huh?
Man, I spent all that time putting it together, and it did not come together for me. But I'm hoping you can talk a little bit, and I can maybe piece this thing together and figure it out. But just your impressions overall of the game on Saturday. We got 1,218 people watching right now.
Very nice. So you're talking Oklahoma State this Saturday?
Yeah. Well, let's do UAPB first. Just your overall impressions of that, and then if you want to just go ahead and hop over to what you see out of Oklahoma State.
You got it. Fix your little video thing. I'll take over here. 10 out of 10 on offense, 9 out of 9 on defense. It's probably the most efficient game I think we'll ever see for Arkansas. I talked to Grant Cook. You remember Grant?
Oh, yeah.
Talked to him over the weekend. Great guy. Shout out to Grant. But I thought he said it best, Trey. He said more than, just the lopsided stats and highlight plays, getting the shutout defensively. You take away all that, they just looked like a well-coached team.
Yeah.
You didn't see a bunch of stupid stuff that we saw so much last year. Didn't get in their own way, didn't kill themselves, and, drive killers and sloppy type stuff. So I know the competition. I know what it was. We've seen that before. I liken it to 2014, I believe. Nichols State came to Fayetteville, and that was a tough one. So no disrespect to UAPB, but they're bad off right now. So that's important to keep in mind. But I don't care who you're playing, Trey. You go 10 out of 10 on offense, 9 out of 9 on defense. They looked like the SEC team is supposed to look in that situation. And for me personally, I look at it more going back and rewatching it. I try to look for individuals, and man, I think Malachi Singleton deserves a little bit of praise on here. I mean, that's it's tough, to look at stats alone, but he just seems like he's in control, and that might be one of my biggest takeaways. Just seeing how poised and ready for it he was. That's got to be exciting.
You watch a lot of football on Saturday?
Oh my gosh, man!
Yeah,
I've had the best weekend. It's all, man. I told my wife I wish Arkansas played on Thursday every week.
Yeah,
it'd be so sweet.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Yeah. You watched the Oklahoma State game? Did you catch any of them?
Yeah, I actually this morning been watching it, the replay of it. But I was hearing you talk about Oklahoma State, and of course, I saw the same thing. Ollie Gordon carries them, and I think that's no big secret. But Trey, I just feel like Arkansas can slow him down. And, to an extent, I think South Dakota State slowed him down in terms of what I mean. And I think it's what you were kind of getting at, too. They didn't allow him to get that 40, 50, 80-yarder, and he can do that. We've known him to do that. So if Arkansas could just do that, I think T. Will's going to draw up some pressures, and they're going to have to put it in Bowman's hands through the air. And then it becomes a question, is Arkansas secondary ready to cover that deep ball over and over again? They're going to get some, but, man, I just feel like Arkansas up front can control that running game, not stop it, but slow it down, put it in Bowman's hands, and I think they can win it. I really do. So I picked Arkansas in the upset this week, but it's going to be tough. Obviously, it's going to be tough. They're the ranked team, but nothing just blows me away. I will say, in terms of penalties and playing clean, like we just talked about, Oklahoma State seems to do that very, very well under Gundy. Always do.
Danny, obviously we got to talk a little bit about recruiting here, but Arkansas got a big defensive tackle commitment. You see that one coming?
Yeah, we kind of buried the lead on that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
This ought to be what we're talking about. But Kevin Otis over the weekend, not weekend, but last Friday went public with his decision. This is one that Arkansas had been feeling really good about and felt like they had it in the bag going into the weekend. But there was a little bit of question right there at the end. Is he actually going to follow through with it and commit? And of course he did. And he chose Arkansas really over Mississippi State. He's from Hattiesburg. And but USC was really strong up there for him. And it's just an incredible gift for Deke Adams, man. We talked about it maybe 6 weeks ago. We got on here heaping praises on him for getting Reginald Vaughn, another 4-star defensive lineman out of Mississippi. And I thought, well, that's probably going to do it. That, it lessens the blow a little bit for losing Carius. Now he goes back and gets another one that I think is probably a little better. And, definitely in terms of ranking, it helps them a little bit. So, man, they're not done yet. We saw it coming a little bit, but I got to be honest with you. I'm not conditioned to believe Arkansas is going to keep making this a habit of going into other SEC states and getting 4-star defensive linemen. So it's kind of brand new to me. It's hard to expect it, but they're dang sure doing it suddenly. We've seen it a lot. They're already doing it for 26. You think about Colton Yarborough, 4-star defensive end out of Oklahoma, already committed to Deke for next year. So I'm just kudos to that defensive staff, man. I've never seen them go out and recruit places like that to this level, and get guys of that caliber. And they seem to be doing it at every level of the defense. I'm impressed by it.
I was talking with Pittman, I guess this was either last spring or last fall. We were just talking on the sidelines at practice, and he was just like, these guys can recruit now. These defensive coaches can recruit. And, we saw it even in the secondary, like Selman, getting a guy like Selman Bridges. Or, Jalen Braxton before that. These guys can absolutely recruit and going into territories. What I like about them, Danny, recruiting Texas is very important, obviously. But recruiting those traditional SEC states like Mississippi and, Georgia and Alabama and stuff, there's so much talent in those areas. And it just makes a lot of sense if you've got connections there to do that. I would like to see a little more presence in Texas, but overall, I really like what they're doing, a little bit east of here.
I'm with you on that, and I told people on the board maybe a month ago. Anyway, it was this past summer. I told them, man, it just kind of makes you wonder what this staff could be capable of if they didn't have that cloud over their head right now. Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they themselves, they got in that spot by losing games, right? Let's not get that twisted. But at the same time, they go all off season. It hurt them with the in-state guys, some of the hot seat talk. What if that goes away? What if they go out and have a really good year and surprise people and shut people up? What kind of chance do they have in 2026? I think it'd be a really good one. They're off to a fine start already.
Danny, I'm thinking the same. I was just thinking that this morning. I was like, man, this really would be nice if they could get things turned around.
That's a good
because
crew.
I love this defensive coaching staff and obviously love having Bobby Petrino at Arkansas.
You're never going to have better coordinators than what you've got right now.
And I like Sam Pittman a lot. And I'm not saying if they had things don't go the right way, that they couldn't go out and get a quality coach and, rebuild and have, all the hope and all that stuff and everything that kind of comes with it from an NIL standpoint and whatnot. But like, man, if they could shut people up and go out there and win way more than what people think, I think that they could get things going a little bit, because I like the pieces that they have on this team, with the young quarterbacks and Taylon Green, and, they've got some things that they need to get better at and stuff. And, they need more NIL money and all those kinds of things, but the revenue sharing thing, I think, will help that too. But like, I'm with you. Like, if this coaching staff is gone, then this recruiting class, like, you're going to lose everybody that's committed, except for maybe some in-state guys. You lose any chance that you might have of getting Carius Kern later, or anybody else, Robinson, that's decided to go out of state. You lose any chance, because getting a new coaching staff in here, they're not going to have time to flip those guys,
Sure.
So it's like, what is the best thing for Arkansas? The best thing I can tell you is that they obviously win. That's the best thing. But if they do win, what comes along with that is, keeping the coaching staff, keeping what you have intact, keeping the recruiting class together, keeping all the transfers that you got, building momentum that way, and maybe doing something really nice next year, even if it's not, obviously there's some challenges they had with the schedule this year, but like we're saying, like, go above and beyond what people think, and then maybe you can get things going again. And who knows? I like having Bobby Petrino on that sideline too, man.
It's pretty nice.
I just feel like if this thing blows up, then, you blow that up also.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Heard, I actually covered the Mike Gundy press conference to an extent this morning, just putting updates on the board there. I was just hearing him talk about Petrino, and he actually, he's talking about it too, Trey, going back to last year. I know we're in a brand new season, week 2 already, but Gundy talking about Arkansas last year, he said, I want y'all to realize they lost like 4 or 5 games against really good teams by 1 or 2 points in the last few seconds.
Yeah.
He's very well aware. He said Arkansas is probably going to be the most talented team they play the rest of the year. I thought that was quite a statement. They've got some pretty good teams left in the Big 12 anyway. But, he was very complimentary of Petrino and Pittman. Said he didn't know much about Pittman. They haven't crossed paths very often, but I was impressed by him. He's I've always kind of been a fan of the guy, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the mullet. Yeah, obviously.
He is what he is, and he's not going anywhere. Yeah. He's just a lifer. Yeah, I appreciate coaches.
I was
like
asking
that.
Sam about that too. Like, I was looking back because they both coached in the Big 12. Pittman was at Oklahoma for a little bit, Missouri a little bit, Kansas a little bit. But I think during all that time, Gundy was at Maryland, I believe?
Maryland, yeah. That's what
except
he said.
for 1 year in 2001, they were both in the SEC or in the Big 12. Pittman was at Kansas and Gundy was at Oklahoma State, but they didn't play each other. But I was asking, like, you guys had any interactions? Like, no. I was like, you ever crossed paths? Ever played each other? No. You never had a conversation? Nothing. He's like, nothing meaningful that I can remember. So.
And they recruit against each other nonstop. I see more Oklahoma State, Arkansas, crossover right now than I've ever seen, seems like. And I'll tell you this, Arkansas has been coming out on top more in the last, I'd say 3-4 cycles than I've ever seen head to head against Oklahoma State. And, I'll wrap up here, Trey, but kind of makes you wonder in their position, watching Oklahoma go to the SEC, watching Texas, what's going to happen over there? I mean, they start already, Arkansas's going in and taking next year's couple of guys for next year. Like, that's got to be a little bit shaky for them in Stillwater.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Danny.
All right, man.
Fantastic stuff, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. We'll see you.
All right, everybody. That's Danny West. Follow Danny at Danny West 24/7. If you want to read Danny West, calling my buddy. Sorry, you know who you are. If you want to read Danny West information at HawgSports, most of it is VIP. So that means you need a VIP subscription. Again, we're 75% off right now. It's the best deal we offer all year. We don't do a better deal, period. So if you're waiting around for something else, you're waiting for 80%, we're not doing 80%. So sign up right now at 75% off, HawgSports.com, $26.85 for the entire year. Access to all of our recruiting information, our database. Ask us questions. I mean, we're on we're on that message board all the time. So ask us questions there, interact with us. If you got a question about anything Razorback athletics, if you want to know more than what your friends know, if you think you get a lot out of this show, come get access to us 24/7. That's why we're called 24/7 Sports. All right. HAWGsports.com. No promo code or anything like that. I got the Sam Pittman video working. Thanks, Danny, for talking. Let's hit it. I'm curious if you watched the Oklahoma State, South Dakota State game live, or if you just, watch the cut-ups later.
Both. Yeah.
Any benefit? You don't get an all opportunities to watch games, I guess, during the season. Is there any benefit to watching a game as it unfolds versus already kind of knowing what happens?
Yeah, well, it was more about getting the benefit of the atmosphere and the juice of their team and how they play off their crowd and the speed. Watching games live, you can, they came out and they went fast pace, early. You don't necessarily, as you're watching cut-ups, get that feel. And so we certainly have to be ready for their fast-paced offense. They don't run it all the time, but we have to be ready for that. He opened the game with it. Coach Gundy did last week. So, yeah, I think there are benefits. Certainly you can hear calls and different things that you can't hear on cut-ups, but I think you just get a live feel of it watching. And like you say, you don't get a lot of that. Now, sometimes you do, maybe on the plane coming back or the bus coming back, maybe if your opponent's playing later than you did, but not very often do you get to just sit down and just watch a game. And as I'm watching, I go, man, they got a really good team. I know we're going to have to deal with a tight sideline and a very loud crowd. That's why all our kids came to play at Arkansas and in the SEC is for games like this, and we're really excited about it. Our tackling is something that we needed to get better just from our Thursday night game. So certainly on Saturday we had a tackling circuit, so that we're trying to address that. If they get him 2 or 3 yards, he's going to get 6 or 7, or more. We're going to have to tackle him one-on-one, but we're going to have to get a lot of guys around the ball.
They like to throw that deep fade a lot. Gundy's always done that.
Yeah.
But they're hitting you with Ollie Gordon, and then they do that. How often can you expect to see that, and just what a challenge that is?
If you press them up, you're going to get tested deep. They have so many things they can do, with the RPO, with handing it off to Gordon, and then their bubble game, their screen game is a big part of what they didn't do it as much Saturday as what I think what I know they've done in the past. Andrew, I'll say, is questionable. Kudus is probably doubtful.
You ever cross paths with him, play any games against Oklahoma State when you were coaching? Or?
I don't think so. I always get a kick out of listening to Coach Gundy's press conferences, because he's blunt and to the point, and he is who he is. So I have a lot of respect for that. And he catches a little heat for it. No, I don't think he much cares. I think he just is who he is. So I've always had respect for him as a man. But then you go and you watch his teams play, and they're always prepared, and they play hard as hell, and a lot of fun to watch.
A lot of fun to watch. We'll see if it's fun to watch on Saturday. You going to Oklahoma State? Let me know in the comments below. Where do I eat in Stillwater? I'm probably got one meal. I'm going to go to Tulsa Friday, and just because I thought about just driving it up, it's just over 3 hours. It's not far, but I'm going to go to Tulsa, knock out the first couple hours, and then just make it an hour trip to the stadium since it is an 11 o'clock game. So I'll probably be there for one meal. I don't know where to eat in Stillwater. I've never been to Stillwater, so first time at Boone Pickens Stadium, but looking forward to. Love going around. I'm a stadium geek. You guys know that. I love just the different environments, the uniqueness of the different stadiums, and also hate some stadiums, as you guys know, Jordan here. But there are plenty that I really love to see, and I know this one's got a lot of uniqueness about it, unique layout, not a massive stadium, but that's the SEC. I always thought that was interesting. When Texas played at Arkansas in 2021, that was easily, Arkansas was the biggest stadium that they played in for an away environment. Now, not counting the Cotton Bowl, like they would if they'd played at Oklahoma, that would be different, but they played that one at a neutral site. But as far as like a true road game for them, Texas, the biggest stadiums in the Big 12, like maybe like 63,000. And, that's true today. There's not a stadium in the Big 12 that's over like 63, I think. So, but on top of you, rowdy, compact. I mean, their fans are excited for this game, and they should be. It's going to be a packed stadium because even though Arkansas has been at the bottom of the SEC last year, people still know it's an SEC team, and there's something that comes with carrying that logo into somebody's stadium. So anxious to see what happens, see it all unfold. I mean, we're going to have so much to talk about. Like it was fun with the UAPB game, a game that, maybe it's a nice little tune-up. You can argue whether they should be playing these kind of games or not. I kind of like what Oklahoma State did a little bit more, playing an opponent that, yes, you definitely are, going to or should beat, but it's going to give you some challenges. UAPB just didn't give Arkansas any challenges at all. They were just able to go out there and run the offense. And really, I mean, that game for Arkansas was easier than playing against their own defense or their own scout team, probably. I mean, really, they probably got more of a challenge from their scout team. So we're over 1,500 people watching live right now. Man, that's phenomenal. Really appreciate. Like, I'm going to get emotional thinking about how many people are watching this show. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much. We're going to check out some of your questions then. One more time, though, I got to tell you guys about Ozarks Go. They've been a great sponsor of ours. It is 1 month free for new customers with the promo code BIDDY1. Okay. Let me bring that up real quick. You can reach them at 479-684-4900. Again, offer several different tiers of internet. Guys, the best thing, like I could go on and tell you about all this stuff and yada, yada about Ozarks Go, and they do this and that, and they're available here. But call them at 479-684-4900. Find out if they're available in your area. Go to ozarksgo.net/hog. Find out if they're available in your area. Use the promo code BIDDY1, BIDDY1, and you can get 1 month free. But like I can say all this stuff about these guys, but I used them before they became a sponsor of the show. I've used several others. They don't cut out. All right. I don't know what your experience might be, but to me, that is all I'm really looking for. Like, the speed's great. It hums. Okay. Yes, that's important. I want good speed. But aside from that, I don't want it to cut out. I don't want it to cut out when I'm playing college football. I don't want it to cut out while I'm doing this live stream. It just works. Okay. Like that's the ad. It works. Trey Biddy stamp of approval. Like, even if they weren't, I still would tell people about Ozarks Go. I like to tell people about things that I enjoy, I believe in. When I go to people's houses, I fix people's televisions. Like, I noticed, you got interpolation on, motion smoothing. We got to get that off of there. We got to fix this picture. Like, I do those kinds of things. I tell people, where to stay, where to go, how to book a trip, who to go through. These are all things that I've done this week. I'm a big fan of YouTube TV. Okay. Like, they don't advertise with me, but I use YouTube TV just because it's easily the best. And I'm the kind of person who signed up for all the streaming services one day and tried them all out. Okay. I've used several different types of internet. Ozarks Go is the best. Where are we going? All right, here we are. All right. Still getting used to the new system a little bit. Okay. Questions now? We want to go to some questions? Yes, we do. I'm talking to myself. See, JJ says YouTube TV is great. Jaron Green says, do you think our linebackers are ready for a running back like Gordon? I think few are. I feel like this will be a breakout game for Switzer. I love his energy, and Sori is a lot faster than I thought. I liked what I saw out of Sori. Now, he only had like a couple of tackles in the game, but he runs. He moves well. I think Brad Spence is going to be a guy that's going to have a nice year. I like the linebacker core. Is there a first-round NFL draft pick at linebacker like Gordon might be at running back? I don't know. I'll say this, though. Like, it's hard to beat a good linebacker. I always love what Brett Bielema used to say. Your middle linebacker should be a guy, you lock the whole team in the room, and say one man's coming out, it should be the middle linebacker. That should be the guy. Like, he's balanced, he's big enough. He's not just like giant like a lineman, but he's not small like a skill player or something. He's got right in the middle. He's got that attitude, that mentality. That's who your linebacker should be. I feel like Spence kind of has that attitude. So Sorey's, maybe a little more athlete at linebacker. But I also really like Steven Dix. Feel like maybe he's got that kind of look about him as well. And Anthony Switzer is very athletic, very active, kind of got just a very violent way he attacks drills and stuff. So, but where I was going, like, so you remember, what's the linebacker for San Francisco 49ers that retired? He's like after 8 years. Why am I drawing a blank on him? I can see his face. Play for Ole Miss. Why am I drawing a blank on him? Somebody knows in the comments. But that's the only guy I've ever seen that, in my opinion, got the best of Darren McFadden. He's the only one I ever saw. Patrick Willis. That's who it was. He's the only guy I ever saw that's like, he outplayed Darren McFadden. He outdid him. He stopped him. And he was a great linebacker, obviously. He played in the NFL for 8 years and retired early. So, you get a great linebacker, then, you can stop a back. But Ollie Gordon's going to be tough. Like, I'm anxious to see what happens, how Arkansas attacks him. If you sell out against them, they're going to throw that deep fade ball a million miles in the air. You guys will see what I'm talking about. Nellie Davis for 3 says, thanks for your amazing coverage. I appreciate you. Thank you. Brady G says 42-21 Arkansas. Now, Danny West on our preseason predictions picked Arkansas to win this game. I did not. But I don't think that Arkansas cannot win this game. I think they can. I just didn't pick them to win. I did pick them to win Texas A&M, which I still feel pretty good about after watching Texas A&M got on Saturday. Not that it's going to be easy. None of these games are going to be easy. This could be like a who has the ball last type of game. That's what kind of game it could be. I don't hate what I see out of Arkansas right now, though. It's a good-looking team. Again, you're going to face a lot of good-looking teams. You heard me read off those scores in the SEC. There's a lot of like 76 threes and, 51-0 type of games. So it's not like Arkansas was the only one to show really good offense. Auburn did, Missouri did, so on and so forth. Ole Miss, of course. Eskimo Joe's, yeah, that's right. Trey, Eskimo Joe's in Stillwater at Roscoe, also Roscoe's Feed Shack are good places to eat, especially after Arkansas win. That's Tim, the catfish hunter. Appreciate that. Yeah, I know of Eskimo Joe's. I got a buddy from Oklahoma that used to have an Oklahoma Joe shirt that he wore all the time when we were in college. And one day he was on the hill walking to class or something, and Houston Nutt walks by him and goes, "Hey, Oklahoma Joe's," or Eskimo Joe's. So Oklahoma Joe, I think, is a smoker. Eskimo Joe's. But yeah. Obviously, Houston Nutt played at Oklahoma State after he transferred from Arkansas and coached there, Coach Barry Sanders. So he was familiar with that. So, yeah, I might have to check that place out. But also, he says, Roscoe's Feed Shack. A lot of Arkansas predictions here. Brandon Hall says Arkansas 38-27. Razorback Zach says, what would the running back rotation look like? You have to find a way to get Hill and Russell some carries. I think we'll see both of those guys. It looks like DeBinion's number 4 right now, but I think you're going to see a good dose of Jaquindon Jackson. And I'd like to see a good bit of Braylon Russell. And I'm not 100% sold on Hill yet. I think he can break off some big runs and stuff, but I want to see a little bit more out of him. But Pittman really likes him, obviously, and Colby Smith apparently likes him. I wonder a little bit about him because I've seen him in drills like pass protection. Is he going to be able to stand up to some guys coming after him and be able to protect Taylon Green? So that's kind of the stuff I wonder about. But it's like, as far as like hitting it and going, I can see Hill having an impact that way. But I wonder a little bit about pass protection because he's about 185 pounds, not the biggest back. And I really like Braylon Russell too. JP Rowland says eat in Tulsa. I will be eating in Tulsa. I know where to go in Tulsa. Is El Guapo still open in Tulsa? Is El Guapo still open? The Handsome? Patriotic Republic. I saw that Petrino smile at the UAPB game, and usually that means get ready to win. It's kind of like a very subtle smile. Brady G111 says Trey is the best for Arkansas coverage. Thanks for the hard work. Appreciate you. Yeah, we got a lot of recommendations for Eskimo Joe's. Grant Toynton says that too. Razorbass 904 says Arkansas can pull out a win this week. They could be a sneaky good this season and really press some of the bigger name teams. Granted, if it was UAPB, they looked efficient. That's the thing. Like, they looked efficient. What happens when, somebody's burying their face mask in your chest, or you get that first kind of hit and you get slammed to the ground, or you that pressure's coming. When you start knowing that, hey, a hit's coming because my offensive line can't protect these guys. They can't stop these guys. When that kind of stuff gets in your head, that's when things, can kind of change. You start getting inefficient. You start rushing things, hurrying things, thinking about what's coming instead of, that kind of deal. So JP Rowland says they didn't give up any points. They did not. That's important to remember. They gave 130 yards. So, we're talking about what the defense did. Let's see. Michael says, other than Oklahoma State this week, would you say our next test against a proven team wouldn't be until Tennessee in October? A proven team? I mean, technically, yeah, but Auburn's going to be a lot better. Texas A&M is going to be tough. They're going we didn't see a lot out of their offense, but they got a defense. Mike Elko can coach defense, and they'll be better by the time that the Arkansas games rolls around. Arkansas, also isn't Notre Dame. They're not. If Arkansas played Notre Dame would probably beat them. So something to consider too. They did play a very tough opponent. How would Arkansas have looked against Notre Dame in week 1? So proven opponent though, the team that was pretty good last year. Tennessee wasn't as good as they were the year before. How do you say his name? Yeah, I had it down, I thought, but I haven't said it in a little bit. But also, the SEC Shorts this week's pretty good. It was when he was talking to Georgia and he was trying to pronounce the quarterback's name. He's like, well, you learned how to pronounce Tua Tagovailoa pretty well. And I can remember when I couldn't pronounce Tagovailoa. You just got to say it a few times. Okay, yeah, I was going to ask about this, Logan. So the music after each clip, are you talking about the breaks between the clips, where I just do the HawgSports logo? Because I was going to ask, is that annoying to anybody? And also I do just a little subtle underneath, just the kind of the theme song of the show. Let me know on that, because I want to know. I don't want to do stuff that's annoying. But the little quick HawgSports logo between the segments, you want me to axe that? Let me know in the comments below. And just maybe the little bit of light music with Sam Pittman's press conference, because I don't want to do something that's annoying. Grady Tuitt says, Trey, haven't mentioned anybody talk about the secondary looks as Thursday's games. I'm a little underwhelmed by their performance Thursday. I'm curious about your thoughts on it. I have mixed thoughts on it. Yeah, I think the secondary is maybe the worst unit they have on defense. I'm encouraged by what they're seeing out of TJ Metcalf. Not that I'm not a hater on Hudson Clark. I think there is an opportunity to upgrade there with a better athlete, but Clark should still play. I'm wondering if they're going to figure it out at the other cornerback spot. I think Marquise Robinson is the guy there, but we'll see how it shakes out. They're going to be tested on Saturday. Oklahoma State's going to throw the ball. They're going to throw it deep, and a lot of times they're going to have to do it while they are singled up in man coverage, because you also have to worry about Ollie Gordon in the run. So they've got good balance there. It's going to test Arkansas secondary. If they play well against Oklahoma State, then I'm going to feel a lot better about them throughout the season, because Oklahoma State will test them. Okay. All right. We're going to cut it short here. We're not cutting it short. We're gone an hour now. So I want to thank everybody for hopping on the show with us today. Danny West and all the viewers. Were up to almost 1,700 people watching at one time, which is phenomenal. That might be a record for a coaching search announcement or something like Calipari. So a ton of people watching. 1702 now. Really appreciate everybody hopping on. Thanks to our sponsor, Ozarks Go. And sign up at HawgSports, guys. If you haven't done that already, we're third place right now. I want to be one. I want to win this contest. We won it last year. We won it the year before that. We won it the year before that. And now we're third. And so I would like to make it 4 in a row. I think it's 4 in a row. It might be 5. We win it a lot. We get a lot of people sign up and then they stick around because they see the product that we deliver. But it's the best time to do it right now. 75% off, $26.85 for the whole year. All right, everybody, man, really appreciate you guys. We'll be back with you on Thursday for the primer show, and we're going to have a representative from Oklahoma State media on the show to give us a little bit more insight. We'll be joined by Connor Goodson, probably have Danny West back on again, and we'll blow it out again with all the latest information leading up to game day. And then after that, of course, that show will be that's usually about 11 o'clock on Thursday. And then we'll have the walk and talk from Stillwater after that. And we're going to have a great walk and talk, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be a great one. Hopefully it'll be a happy one. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. If I can find the extra exit clip, then I can get us out of here. But I got to have it because my OCD won't let me not end the show without the exit. Where is it? Later.